Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid.
Hello everybody, this is Goldfinger from the Goldfinger Minute, and today I have Kevin, Tucker, and Sam, and we're going to be talking about strategies on stock options. Kevin, introduce yourself, and then Sam, would you please introduce yourself?
All right, I'm Kevin, and I'm here to teach you guys the wheel strategy, which consists of selling cash secured puts and covered calls.
Great.
And my name is Sam. I'm from New York, and Kevin has actually taught me how to get involved in options trading, and I just recently learned about 3 months ago.
Just 3 months ago.
Just January, but I say 3 months because of April I didn't do much of anything.
How many lessons did you need?
Well, I had one, and then I went home and started with about $1,000, and then I did a lot of research on the internet, watching videos and stuff. But they were teaching me the same things that Kevin pretty much taught me.
Great.
So really, it was only one lesson to get started, and then once I realized how easy it was and how to do it, and then every once in a while I'd ask Kevin a couple of questions, like inane questions. And then yesterday, as a matter of fact, we had lunch, and I had a couple more questions for him. That's it.
How many times did you actually spend over at his house?
I don't even know where he lives.
Yeah, no,
So,
we
that-
did this at the Red Flower, didn't we? Is that where I taught you?
Yeah, Red Flower was very brief, though. It wasn't too much because it was another guy that came, and it was just simple stuff. But then the one time that we got in depth was over at Kangaroos.
Oh, that's right.
So you guys, you basically, Sam, picked it up pretty quick, I think. It's 3 months.
Well, I've been investing since I was 22 years old, but that's just putting into mutual funds, buying stocks, things like that. I knew nothing about options trading.
Nothing about options. Okay.
Nothing about it. And I was as skeptical as everyone else is that I just don't want to. I spent my whole life saving my money and being careful. I didn't want to lose it all. And I was a little skeptical, and I was a little.
You started with $1,000. It's been 3 months. How much are you invest now, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I started with $1,000, and then I did my first trade, made a couple bucks, did a second trade, made a couple bucks, made a third trade, made a couple bucks. Then I had to buy, which I didn't want to buy, but I had to buy. Then I did the covered call, which he showed me how to do, which Kevin showed me how to do, and I thought it was fantastic. And I realized how easy it was that I invested about another 1,000. So I was 2,000 in, and currently I'm up about $750 for the year over 3 months.
That's pretty good.
And
that's a great return.
Yeah, 54%.
There you go. All right, we're going to hold it up here. I'm going to go to chapter 2. I just need to make a sound check, guys. Hello, everybody. We're back. I just needed to do a sound check, and everything sounds good. I just moved my microphone back away so I'm a little loud. For those of you that are wondering, how do you invest $2,000 and get 54%, Sam explained to me that he started with 1,000, and then after a certain period of time, he put another 1,000 in. So overall, it's 54% based on the time and the money invested for the return. Okay, we're going to continue on. Guys, go ahead and start explaining how do we do the wheel strategy, cash secured puts and covered calls.
Okay, well, thanks for having me back, Goldfinger. For those of y'all who saw the video we did a couple weeks ago, had a lot of people asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
And wanting to learn this. And if you're here in Dumaguete, you know, I'm happy to teach people how to do it, but people all over the world are wanting to do this,
yeah.
And so that would be a lot more difficult. So he's got me in here to do this. And basically what I'm going to show you today is about 90% of what I would show you face-to-face. The only 10% extra is me normally showing you how to navigate your site, your brokerage site.
Okay.
Whether it's Robinhood, E-Trade, Schwab, IBKR, which is Interactive Brokers. Another question people asked in your comments, they said, well, if you don't live in the U.S., how do you trade these stocks? What brokerage account do you use? Well, if you're a non-U.S. citizen, or you're out of the country and in a country that you can't use a traditional U.S. brokerage, you can always use Interactive Brokers. They've got an app. It's IBKR. You can trade U.S. stocks from anywhere in the world.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
So I don't have to have a bank account in the U.S. or doesn't matter if they use my bank account here in the Philippines?
I don't know about the Philippines.
Okay.
So
Well, I do have a bank account in the U.S. So most people have a bank account back home in Canada or wherever. What about a phone number back to their home country?
for IBKR, like I said, all my Aussie friends and all them just use,
Philippine phone number.
I don't know, you know.
You don't
The
know.
other thing I might suggest is that if you do go back home for vacation, once you get back to the U.S., open up a Robinhood account.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Now the
very
question
simple.
is, can you use something like Magic Jack or something like that, or
I don't know about.
Now they're going to want, sometimes they're going to want to text you a code. And
Magic Jack won't
does,
work?
Does not do that.
a voiceover? Does a VoIP does not work on that way?
I don't know if Google Phone or some things like
There's
that
Google Phone.
would, but I do know Magic Jack. I had that when I first came over from the
Uh-huh.
U.S., and if my bank or anybody wanted to send me a text message, I wouldn't get it.
Okay, so the main thing is the phone number then. Now, are they checking where you're doing your trading from your laptop? Are they checking
No,
something?
I could say that because I don't use a VPN.
I do use a VPN, but you could use a VPN and show that you're in the US. So when they check,
Right.
it looks like you're in whatever state that you
Yeah,
use.
but I've done all my trading before I met Kevin back in the U.S.
Sam, do you have a US phone number?
No, and what I do is use my sister-in-law. They send a message to her, and she sends me the code.
Okay, so there's a way around it.
There's ways around.
There's always ways around it. Okay, and so you don't have a US phone number.
That's with
but
my bank. That's with my real estate investors. That's everyone.
So
The
you can
same
do it that
thing.
way. She'll text you the code.
Correct.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, let's continue on. There's ways around it, guys.
Okay, now, first of all, let's get this out of the way. I am not a certified financial advisor.
Not a broker.
I'm not a broker. I'm not qualified. I'm just some random guy that you're seeing on YouTube right now, okay? So you guys really need to just take this as entertainment and educational value
Right.
only. You know, if you're going to do what I'm going to show you, you do need to do your due diligence. You know,
Absolutely.
don't, if you do some wrong things, you can lose money. So,
You could lose your total portfolio. So
Hey.
you want to follow instructions and learn this slowly. So kind of build. How long did it take you, Kevin, to actually start getting into larger numbers? Did you play with it for 3 months, 6 months, or a year?
well, when I first got into it, I had already owned some stocks, and we'll go over these two strategies.
Okay.
But I owned some stocks, and then I found out I could do cover call options, and so I was basically, I already had a lot of stocks, so I had a lot of money
Okay.
involved in it, and it's just evolved through the last 3 years to what I'm going to show you guys today.
And Sam, how much you put in 1,000, then you put in a second 1,000,
Right.
Because you liked what was happening for the first 1,000. That was
Correct.
after 3 months or 2 months. that you put in
It was
second
probably
1,000?
after the first or second month I realized
Okay.
that this is pretty good.
And-
And going back to what you asked, what Kevin had just said about
Yes.
doing the due diligence, I had met Kevin. I had never met him before in my life, and he was showing me this. I didn't know him from anything, so I went home and I did my due diligence. I went home and watched the YouTube videos and did some homework, did some research, and I realized everything he's saying was spot on.
And
So
it worked for you.
It worked for me.
Can I ask you your age?
59.
Are you retired?
Yes. I retired willfully. In other words, I didn't retire.
You didn't need to
Right,
retire.
right.
You retired because you
I
had
wanted to
sufficient
retire.
income.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that's understandable because 59 is very young. You're one of the younger guys that are out here. Anybody
I
in their
know.
50s?
I realize that.
Are one of the younger.
Yeah.
Most of us.
I'm the baby.
I
Yeah.
have-
All of us, we're both 59.
You're both
Right,
59.
right.
Good for both of you.
I just turned 59.
and
Me
you're
too. When's
independent.
your birthday?
November.
April. Just turned it.
And mine is June 2nd. It's coming up in a week.
All right.
And I'll be 69.
All right.
Oh, my God. I'm 10 years your senior.
Wow.
All right, guys. Go ahead. Kevin, you want to start the introduction and
Okay.
how you go about your trading? Because I don't know it myself.
Okay, so what we're going to do is called the wheel strategy, and it uses two different strategies in it: cash secured puts and covered calls. These are the two easiest things to get approved of by your broker, especially covered calls. That's going to be level 1 for every broker. You can pretty much get approved for that, no questions asked. Cash secured puts, they're going to ask you some questions on that about your experience and everything, but most of the time you'll get approved for that. You just have to tell them cash secured puts, selling cash secured puts. And so there's 2 strategies, cash secured puts and covered calls. And then there's 2 different things you can do. If you saw the first video that I did with Goldfinger, there was some confusion in it because Goldfinger was doing options and I was doing options, but we were doing 2 different things.
Right.
Okay, so what Goldfinger was doing, he was buying to open the contract. You can buy to open or you can sell to open. What I do, I'm always selling. Always sell to open, never buy to open. And so that was the big thing that was going on with us too. Now, if you're just starting with this and you don't have any stock, then you would start with cash secured puts.
Okay.
Okay, so what that means is you're sitting on cash. Who knows how much money you have? Say you're only starting with $1,000.
Okay.
Okay, so you find a stock that you like, and let's say there's a stock called Goldfinger.
Okay.
Stock ticker GF. Okay, and then right now it's going for $10 a share.
Okay.
Now I've done my due diligence. I like Goldfinger stock at $10 a share. So on Monday I'm thinking about buying 1,000 shares of Goldfinger, or we can keep it simple, say 100 shares of Goldfinger.
Okay.
And because each option contract consists of 100 shares.
So you're buying a single option.
Yes.
Which covers.
I'm selling.
I'm sorry. God, that's a bad habit. You're selling one option of 100 shares.
Yes.
The cost for that is?
Well, it all depends, and we'll go over that.
Okay.
So say it's Monday, and I'd be happy to buy 100 shares of Goldfinger at $10 a share. But I'd really like to buy 100 shares of Goldfinger at $9 a share. And there's a way you can do that. Not only buy the stock, possibly, for $1 less, but you can get paid to do it. Someone will pay you to do it. So this is going to sound weird to a lot of people. People are going to go, why would anybody pay you to buy their stock at a lesser price? Well, what I basically am is an insurance policy to them. So, say Goldfinger stock is $10 a share. I would like to get it at $9. Well, when you go on an options, when you go in to set your contract, a $10 stock would go down in increments of 50 cents. So I could immediately come in and say there'd be 10.
Yeah, we're going to let Kevin write it on the board, and then he's going to face the microphone so we have good sound. So even though he has his back to us, he's not going to talk until he faces us. It's a very directional microphone. I'm sorry I don't have lapel mics.
And can I just say that
You're going to have to stand.
when I started with Kevin,
Yeah.
I didn't want to go very high. I was very new.
Okay.
So I started my stock was about $5 a share. So I had to buy, because one contract is 100 shares, I had to spend $500.
$500.
Right?
50% of your portfolio.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's say the stock was $5, and I said I want to buy it at $4.50. So I put in the option trade at $4.50 and waited for that, and it didn't clear, so I made money on the premium. And he'll talk about.
You made money and you did not buy it.
I made money and didn't buy it. It's called getting the premium, and that's
This is very interesting.
That's what I'm just trying to do.
I don't know anything about this.
This is how you make money by not buying stock.
You put in the offer on a $5 stock for $4.50.
Correct.
Did not get it,
Yeah.
and then you actually made money.
Correct. Better than this. And this happened to me. I put in an option trade for $4.50 that I would buy the stock at $4.50, and you got to buy 100 shares. That's one contract.
Right.
It hit $4.50, and I went, oh darn! I got to buy the 100 shares. Purchased 100 shares. Then what he taught me to do was just turn around and sell it again for that $4.50 that you bought it at, and you're getting another premium. If
So
someone
you made
else
it both
is,
ways.
But you're getting kind of ahead.
I know.
I'm getting way ahead. I know.
That's interesting,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry.
I'm getting ahead, but this is how he taught me, and this is what I learned.
Okay, it's open discussion. We'll figure. It's interesting though that you can make money by purchasing and not owning, or purchasing and selling at the same price. That is very interesting.
Okay, so what they were just talking about, and this, when you open up the options thing on your app or on your laptop, this is what it's going to look like. So what I could do is, now let's go ahead and explain this. Well, I could do a $10 option. So what I'm doing is, on Monday, I'm selling an option contract to where if the stock drops from $10 to any one of these prices, I agree to buy it at the end of the week on Friday. So I like Goldfinger, stock at 10. I could just go in and buy it outright. Or I could go in and do a cash secured put and say, okay, it's Monday, and if by Friday, if it's $10 or less, I will pay $10 a share for it. But Goldfinger, well, whoever I'm doing this contract with, will pay me what he said, a premium. And what this basically is, this is an insurance policy. Some people could look at it as like a stop loss. You know, say the person I'm making the deal with, they bought Goldfinger at $5 a share. So they've doubled their money. So, but say something bad's about to happen. Say tariffs are going to be imposed, or the inflation numbers, the Fed's meeting next week. They're afraid something bad's going to happen. So they think their stock could drop all the way down to, say, $6 a share. So they're willing to pay me 40 cents a share, or $40 a contract, because it's 100 shares per contract. They're willing to pay me $40 because if I made that deal for 10 and it drops to 6, I still have to buy it for 10.
Okay.
Okay. So for me, that makes no sense. Although if I did, I mean, look at this. So
you're not making any big money unless you're doing a lot of options,
right?
A lot of shares,
but $40 on that contract would actually get you, that's 4% on your money in 1 week.
All right.
I mean, if you did 4% on your money every week, that's what, 208% annualized?
Okay.
Not bad.
Not bad.
But if it really drops, and let me preface this also, guys. I'm going to teach you, you guys are going to learn from my mistake. My goal is to never buy a single share of stock. I don't want to own any stock. If you don't own stock and the market crashes and all you have is cash in your account, your cash stays the same. You don't get hit. But if you own stock, then, if the market crashes, if it goes from 10 to 750, you just lost 25%. Well, you're down 25%. You didn't lose.
If you sold.
Yeah, you don't lose unless you sell it. And I know some people are going to go, well, you did lose, but no, you didn't. You're just down. But you're down 25%. But it's better if you don't own any stock, if you're just adding cash to your portfolio every week. So that's what I want to show you. So instead of going at 10, well, it goes in 50-cent increments. Now, each time you go down, that premium goes down because the chance of getting assigned, and when I say get assigned, is if the stock price drops down. Now, I mean, there's probably an 85-90% chance I'll get assigned this stock at $10 a share. Because all it has to do is go down 1 penny to $9.99, and I've got to buy it for 10.
Okay.
So, you can do that. But now if you drop down just 50 cents more, now the stock has to drop 5% compared to 1 penny for you to buy it. But because that's 5%, this premium is going to go down. But still, if you went to $9.50 and you got this 20-cent per share premium, that's still $20 per contract. That's 2.2% on your money.
Now, are you offering are you saying you're offering?
I'm saying I will buy 100 shares if it drops to $9.50 or less.
You'll buy it.
And again, if it drops to 8, I still have to buy it for $9.50. That's the deal that I'm making.
Okay.
So, but you can see the safer thing is to actually come down to $9. It would have to drop 10% in 1 week to go down. And these options, you can go anywhere from 1 week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Yes.
I like to go 1 week because it's more predictable.
Okay.
It's just, in my
There
experience.
is for the short term.
Yes.
Okay.
And so instead of doing it for 10 or $9.50, I would come down here to 9. It would have to drop 10% in a week. Now it's only paying 13 cents a share, which is $13 a contract, but that's 0.144% on my money for that week. If you did that every week for a year, you would make 75.1% annualized. If you did that every week for a year, how many of you
And so if
guys?
you're using $10,000 in your portfolio, and you invested half of it, which is 5,000, you're gonna end up 5,000 is gonna buy quite a few shares at $9.
Well, a lot of contracts.
A lot of contracts.
You never
a lot
want
of
to buy a
op-
share.
A lot of options. I'm
Yes.
sorry, you're buying for the sale.
So-
You're buying a lot of options, and that would
Well, we're
multiply
selling.
your.
We're selling.
You're buying to sell. You're buying on
No,
the
I'm
put.
selling.
You're selling.
I'm always
Oh my
selling.
God.
We'll
Okay.
never use the word buy.
Never use the word buy. It's
Okay.
a put. It's a
Yes.
sell. Okay.
We're selling puts. We're selling calls.
All right.
But like I said, if you come down here to a much safer percentage,
Mm-hmm.
then there's probably, and I'm not going to get into deltas and things like that, but you could tell that this, I would probably have anywhere between a 75 and 85% chance that it will not drop to that price. That means the deal will expire harmlessly on Friday. It can drop from 10 to 9.05. As long as it doesn't drop to $9, the deal expires harmlessly.
Okay.
Now, also,
And you still made that.
Well, I keep the
0.144%.
I keep the $13.
You
As
keep
soon as I
$13.
make that deal, that $13 for each contract goes into my account.
Okay.
So I get that money no matter what. Now, the way a cash secured put works, I don't own any stock, so I have to put up cash. That's my collateral. The person I'm making the deal with owns the stock, so they put up 100 shares of stock. I have to put up $900,
Right.
because it's $9 a share times 100 shares. So I have to put up $900 for every contract. So if everything goes right, and like I said, probably anywhere from 75 to 85% of the time, this deal will expire harmlessly on Friday. It won't go down to 9. I will get all my collateral, my 900 or
It goes back into
9,000
your
or
brokerage-
90,000.
It goes back to your brokerage account. Okay.
As soon as no, normally after the after hours goes, it gets credited back to your account.
Okay. Within a day.
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, the market will close depending on what time zone you're in the afternoon. Then there's after hours through Friday night, and then it'll get credited to your account normally sometime Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Or normally like late Saturday afternoon.
I assume you're using a New York market. Is that correct?
Well, I mean,
There's a Chicago market. There's a LA market. There's a lot of different markets.
it's just the stocks that I trade on the NASDAQ.
Okay. Okay. You do NASDAQ.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that's the kind of stocks that I do.
All right.
But so like I said, in a perfect world, it will not reach that. And I keep this money and I do it again next week.
Okay.
Now, say the stock dropped from 10 to 9.50. So now, next week, instead of 9, I may go to 8.50
On the same stock.
on the same stock because, all right, so I'm dealing with the same stocks I've dealt with for 5 years. And one of the things like people are going to ask, what stocks do you use? I'm not going to tell you guys because I've done the due diligence. They're very volatile. When the tariffs got imposed, one of mine dropped 45%. So if I tell you guys, this is a stock I'm using, say you got into it, that's your very first week, you get assigned this, and then it drops 45%, you panic, sell at a 45% loss, you want to kill me. So
I got you.
so I won't tell you guys what stock.
So in this case, it's kind of interesting. You're selling, okay? I'm not going to use the B word. You're selling, but you're owning a product that you don't own. You have the option.
If the price drops
Ah,
to $9 or less, then I have to buy.
right.
Now,
So you're just doing a put. You're selling, okay?
I'm selling this put contract.
With positive news, do you make more money, or with negative
Now,
news?
in a perfect world, remember, I never want to buy the stock.
I understand.
So I'm happy if Goldfinger shoots to 11. The chances, if it goes to 11 on Wednesday, the chances of it dropping to 9 are very slim.
You just don't want it.
I don't want it. I'm happy to gain these $13 for every 900 I put up every week.
But wouldn't it make sense if you had an offer at 9 that you could buy it, that you can sell the option, okay, at 11?
if I got assigned, I could come back with this strategy the next week,
The
and
covered
we'll
call.
go over that.
Okay, so that's called a covered call.
And that's when you own the stock.
Okay.
But in a perfect world, you will never buy a single share of stock.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to do it.
I got
And
it.
like I said, if you own 10,000 shares of Goldfinger at $10 a share, and then something bad happens, the CEO gets caught diddling some Boy Scouts or something,
Yeah.
and it drops down to $7 a share, your portfolio just took a big hit.
Right.
So, but if you don't own a single share of stock, and the same thing happens to Goldfinger and it tanks, doesn't matter to you, because all you have is cash. You've got cash in your account. As long as you're adding cash every week, your portfolio is not going to go down. It's going to
grow.
It's going to go up every week.
Now, I know a little bit about stock. I know you can put in stop losses. Do you
Well, that's
ever-
kind of what a cash secured put is.
Okay.
It's basically,
Stop
I'm
loss.
an insurance policy for the guy who bought this at 5. It's now at 10. He's afraid it's going to go down, so he's more than happy to give me 13 cents a share as an insurance policy, to where no matter how far it drops, I have to pay $9 a share for it.
So he's paying you an insurance policy to cover his
His loss.
his option that he took.
The worst he can do is lose 10%, go from 10 to 9. Well, minus the 13 cents a share.
So he's doing the opposite. He's covering his calls.
Yes.
Basically, he's paying you a fee to cover his calls.
To cover his stock.
Cover his stock.
I'm basically like a stop
and he's
loss.
paying you an insurance fee, and you
Yes.
really just want to make the money on the insurance fees that he's paying you.
Well, he just wants to make sure if it drops to $7 a share, the most he's going to lose is 10%.
Right.
From 10 to 9.
That makes sense.
Minus the 13 cents.
All right.
So I am more like, I'm the insurance company. I'm taking your monthly payment and hoping that there will never be a hailstorm, or a tornado.
And we all know insurance companies make money.
Exactly. And
that's the truth. Whoever heard of insurance company going broke? Insurance companies make money.
So that's basically it, guys. This is it. Now, like I said, this is 75%. Say if we would have dropped down $8.50 and I'll put another one here, it might only be $6. And Sam's very conservative. You'll see this. Sam doesn't even shoot for levels this high. But say that was $8.50 and it's paying 6 cents a share, or only $6 per contract. That's still gonna,
give you a little bit of money.
Yes, it will. I mean, it's still gonna
go.
get you.
If it's $10 a share and you want to put in the protection at $8, you'll actually still make something. But that's 20% down, so it's going to obviously not make as much.
So what we can do is, if you're getting a I don't know if y'all can see this. If you're getting paid a $6,
you'd have to hold it really close to this camera.
If you're getting paid a $6 premium, you would divide that by $850. That's how much you're putting up. So you do that, and that's going to be 0.007. So let's see if we did that every week for 52 weeks. That's 36.7% annualized.
And where can you make that with money sitting in a CD?
That's
or
for
anywhere
one
else?
contract.
Yeah.
And
And if you buy 2, 3, 4,
multiplies. It's still going to be the same percentage. It's just going to be more money.
And when you get down to that level, now you're looking at, like Sam, I was teaching him about the deltas yesterday. And when you get down to that level, you've got a 9 out of 10 chance that you're not going to get assigned.
Right.
I mean, it's only 10% of the time would you get assigned.
So your risk is if it's a $10 option and you agree to buy it at 10, that's a pretty high risk, because that means you're going to end up owning it.
Yes.
Okay. And your risk profit drops as your offer is lower.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what you guys are learning from me, my mistakes.
So if you want to start really carefully, you're going to offer $7.50 or $8 on a $10 stock, because you do not want to go to the next step, which is a
$8.50 is probably the lowest you could get. After that, it probably wouldn't pay anything for $8.
Okay.
But like I said, you guys are learning from my mistake. Everybody I'm teaching now is learning from my mistakes. I used to look at this and go, heck yeah. All I got to do is come down to $9.50. I like Goldfinger anyway, and I'm getting paid 2.2% on my money.
Right.
which is over 100% right there, annualized. If I
But
made
it is
2%.
more risk. So with
Yes.
more risk comes more reward.
And so I got assigned a lot of stock. I'm sitting on, if you saw the interview we did, I said 40,000. I actually looked at 34,000. But I'm sitting on 34,000 shares of stock right now. And because of the tariffs and things like that,
They're coming back.
well, I'll explain. I'll explain when I do the covered calls when I get back to that. But
And that's what a covered call is.
Yeah, when I own the
When you
stock.
own it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm starting to understand.
So-
It's totally different thinking than what I was taught. Okay.
but I would much rather be sitting on cash, have the deal expire on Friday, do it again, make another anywhere from 0.144 to 1.8 per
Because your
0.18.
34,000 is tied up.
Yes, those.
You're not making interest on it.
Well, and we'll go into it. For the covered calls, you make premiums as well.
Okay.
And as the farther away you get from the price, it pays less.
Okay.
Well, if you own stock and it drops down here, so say I got stuck with the stock at 10 and I got it at 9. Well, if I want to put it up for 10, each increment I'm going up, I'm getting paid less. It's the other way around.
Okay.
So I'm
So
sitting
why
on,
don't you just take less and get the money out?
I am taking less.
Oh, you were offered it. You put it up. You put those shares up.
I still do covered calls.
Okay.
And we'll go over that.
Okay,
It's just,
sorry.
if,
I tend to jump.
So I'll explain and the way I teach Sam and all
Okay.
these guys to do it now.
I'll try to shut up, guys. I'm sorry. I do a lot of talking. Go ahead.
But that's it. This is a cash secured put. And this, in a perfect world, you will never get to covered calls because that would mean you own the stock. You don't want to own the
own the
stock.
stock.
And if you come down here, if you've got a 75 to 85% chance of the deal expiring, say that equals out to 80%, that means, say 8 out of every 10 weeks, you're not going to get assigned. It's going to expire harmlessly.
And you get a few percent.
Yeah, you get your money, you get all your collateral back, your cash.
24
Do it
hours,
again the next week.
Do it again.
Now, let's go
So you're
to
just constantly churning money.
yes.
And by churning money, you're making small amounts of interest on your money. And you literally could churn your money multiple times in a month.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, that's 75% annualized. If I just made this
That
every
was
week,
just based on a month. Was that based on a
well,
week?
this is
52
1
weeks?
week.
50,
So multiply that by
52 weeks.
52.
All right.
That's going to be 75.1%, and that's if I don't reinvest any of my profits.
Right.
So actually, I mean, it really isn't hard to double your money. I mean, I made 124% last year.
Wonderful. Okay.
This year, it's starting off slower for me because I'm stuck holding all this stock.
Right.
So I'm not getting these kind of percentages right now because of the stock that I'm holding. When I got to do my covered calls, I'm getting more in that 0.007 every week.
Okay.
But still, on my cash secured puts, if I'm on pace to average anywhere between 30 and 45%, nobody's feeling sorry for me for that.
Right.
Especially for the amount that I'm dealing with. But I also still have a lot of cash, and I'm doing the cash secured puts, and my cash secured puts are paying this kind of money. So I'm doing that. But now let's go over, and Sam, you guys talk while
He's going to change the
Hold
word.
this up.
So go ahead and stay close to that side so we can get you on. Sam, you got to stay.
I wanted
close
to
the
point
board.
out that he put down here $9, and I'm more along the line because I'm, like he said, I'm very conservative. I would go to $8.50.
So you start off.
I would go. Well, if it's $10, you can come down here to $9.50. It's very, I wouldn't say very easy, but it can hit $9.50. 9 less down to $8.50, much less.
But you
But
make
then
less.
you're only going to get 36%. But I'd like you to ask anybody who's getting 36% on their money.
Nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
and there's a 90% probability by the delta that they give you that he would never get assigned that. I mean, it's going to be
90%, something like that.
Nine out of every 10 weeks, that deal is going to expire harmlessly.
Right. So I'm going to get the premium. And that's per contract. So if I'm doing 4 contracts, times 4.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, I have another question. It's a little bit different. Is how do you find the stock that you wish to purchase? That's a whole nother subject.
There are websites that gear towards options trading, and they'll tell you, like for this one website that I went on is the top 50 stocks for options trading, and it gives,
Okay.
and it breaks it down by price and by Like
You want a volatile,
volatility,
Yeah, you want a volatile stock.
right. So you want to look at, but he's going to talk about also at some point the deltas. So you want to look at these, and you want to, and how much it costs.
Explain what a delta is.
That's, I understand it to some
Basically,
extent, but it's better for
the
him to explain it.
probability of the chance of you getting assigned. If it's got a delta of 0.18, then you've got about an 80% chance of getting assigned.
Okay.
And I like to stay in a delta of about 0.22 to 0.17, somewhere around there, which gives me great odds. Some sites will show that. Robinhood will show it. IBKR that I mentioned will show that.
Delta is a Greek, as I remember.
It's one of the Greeks.
Explain what a Greek is. Explain.
Well, there's and
There's
that's
a lot.
that's out of my price
You
range.
just use deltas.
Yeah, I only use the delta. I don't
which
do
is which is a graph.
No, it'll just
It'll give you a percentage.
when you saw that thing that
Uh-huh.
up here, the delta will be right next to the
Okay.
price.
So
It'll be
basically,
right there.
So if you click on it, it'll tell you the
Yes.
probability. And
Yes.
things like that. Okay,
Right,
I
and it
gotcha.
shows it says you have an 80% chance of getting the premium. I'm going to take that bet. 80% chance of getting the premium. So if I don't get the premium and I'm forced to buy the stock, then I own the stock, then I just go ahead and sell it, and I'm going to get another premium on it
Yeah.
with the covered call.
Do you change the price, Sam, of the stock? Would you?
No. And that's what he told me too. If you change the price and you go up, you say, okay, I'm going to try to get more out of it, then you're being greedy. Once you start being greedy, that's when you're going to start losing money.
All right, that makes sense.
I bought it at $10. I was forced to buy it at $10. I didn't want to buy it at $10,
Right.
but I was forced to buy it at $10. I got the premium.
Move a little
I'm going
bit
to
this
sell
way.
it at.
We can't see you. I'm gonna since we're.
I'm going to
okay.
sell it at $10.
Yeah.
And I'll get the premium again.
All right.
And
so
again, if it's 4 contracts, I'm getting 4
keep the
times
price
premium.
the same. Hope for changes in the future.
Correct.
How long can you hold it for?
Well, forever. I mean,
There's no time limit.
no, because this is what happened during April, during the whole
Yeah.
tariff and
problem.
stock.
They're
Yeah,
trying
and
to
the stocks
China
went
and
down.
other countries.
I was forced to pick up 8 shares of stock from 2 different companies, 4
Okay.
and 4. Right? I didn't want them, but I had to buy them because that's what I did. Right? The cover call. I mean the
Are you still holding anything?
No, I just got rid of one this morning.
Did both
for
expire?
you.
No, one didn't. Missed
One
it by
didn't.
like 2 cents.
But that's fine. And I'll go over that with
Okay.
that's actually he's going to do very well next week with that.
Yeah.
But okay, now if you guys don't want to do the wheel strategy, if the cash secured puts kind of freaked you out or whatever, you can the covered call. If any of you guys own stock now, you can do the covered call. You don't have to do the whole wheel strategy. This is a great strategy if you own a stock, say you like Goldfinger at 10 and you want to hold it forever, but you want to make a supplemental income, you can actually go out and do a covered call. Say it's $10, you could do a covered call all the way up to say $14.
Mm-hmm.
The chances of it going from 10 to 14 in 1 week are slim,
Oh yeah.
but
Definitely.
it might pay you that 0.0007% or 36% on the year. And that's just a nice little
And so you're
supplemental
making it
income.
the same way as an insurer.
Yeah.
You're insuring your
So,
stock.
yeah.
Insuring your own stock.
And, if the stock goes up, I mean, if it goes from 10 to 12 that week, you made 20% on your stock, but you also made that 0.007%, say another $6 or 6 cents on the share. And if you're making 6 cents every week for,
So you make 20% if it goes to say 12, and you get the insurance as well.
right, you keep the
Wow.
premium. You always
The
keep that
premium.
premium. So like I said, you can go really far out to ensure your chances. Well, I'll never say the chances are 0, but like when we were talking about 850 on that put,
Mm-hmm.
that delta was it was 90% probability. So I mean, if you can get to 90% probability that you're never going to sell that stock, that's great. And then again, if it goes from 10 to 14, well, now you just made 40%
Wow.
on your money in 1 week
And a premium.
and the premium. So if you do have to sell it, who cares? You just made 40% in a week.
Right.
Now you can go back and do the cash secured puts because now you got cash. You can actually go back and do a cash secured put again on Goldfinger on the same stock.
Wow.
That you
can
just
do
sold.
it all over again
Yeah.
and do a put.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it does get called away, now I will tell you guys this. you do get taxed on this. Okay, when you make a profit with stocks, you're going to get taxed one of two ways. Short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains. So say if you're sitting on a bunch of stock, as long as you've had it for over a year, you'll get taxed long-term capital gains. Those are less. That's going to be somewhere like between 17 and 22%. Short-term capital gains, which is what these options are, this premium money, because it comes every week.
Right.
You're going to be taxed short-term capital gains, and that's just like earned income. I mean, if you get over, it's basically, they have a capital gains tax calculator. You can find that on the internet. But you're getting taxed, I mean, you can get up into the 30% taxed on it. So if you're doing this, I highly recommend, I have a separate bank account that each week I reinvest my options, my premiums, but each week I take that tax money out and I put it for that particular week, and I put it in that bank account. And now a lot of people would say, why don't you just keep all of it in there, keep reinvesting, use that to make more money. Well, what happens is right before your taxes are due, you get assigned. You have to buy all the stock, and then the market tanks. So now, instead of you putting that money in a bank account that you now need to send to the IRS, it's tied up in stocks that are down. So you'd have to sell the stocks at a loss to get that cash.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, or you'd have to take cash out of your different bank account.
I'm not an accountant, nor are you.
No.
But I do know that you could open accounts with IRA or Keogh funds. Some of them, as long as you're reinvesting and don't take them out, they're not taxable. Is that something you know about?
Well,
and I would strongly suggest anybody talk to their accountant about this.
When we're done with this, I was going to go over something. When I had my channel, and I don't have my channel anymore, guys. So I know a lot of people were like, "Where's Kevin's channel?"
Upset. Where's your channel?
I did a video that showed how to start investing at age 55, on your 55th birthday, retire on your 62nd birthday, with an incredible
portfolio,
tax-free portfolio.
Yeah.
And just by doing $8,000 a year, for those years, for $8,000 a year, by investing $56,000, you'd have over $2 million tax-free. And I did all the math for it, for you guys who actually saw that video.
This is compounding interest on your...
Well, it's by reinvesting.
Reinvesting, which is compounding.
Yes.
Basically, you're compounding.
So, but, it can happen. And, again, like I did all the math and everything on that. And that video got almost 500,000 views.
That's what you said.
That was my best video. But I'll go over the account that I would rather than a traditional IRA that you were just mentioning. But that is a good account. But we'll go over that.
But you could do that. Speak to your accountant. You could do something where it's not taxable until you remove the money.
Sure, that'd be a traditional IRA.
That's a traditional IRA.
So, okay. and we'll go over that.
Now, just out of curiosity, if someone's retired and receiving Social Security, is there still tax? I'm not an expert on this.
On Social Security?
No, on the income, the profit that you're making.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have to file taxes on this.
Don't you get a certain amount every month that's tax-free? I believe you do.
But if you're making money on this and you have to still fill out taxes, you're going to have your Social Security, then you got to add this income to it. So that could put you into a different tax bracket.
I know you're allowed a certain amount every month.
Sure.
And they don't tax you on that.
And a lot of it depends on what state you live in as well.
Okay.
But again, I'm not an accountant. Yeah, definitely.
And some states have no tax.
Right.
Nevada is where I'm from, so they don't have tax. There's other states too.
Right.
But they all may have federal. They should all have federal tax.
Yeah. Again, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't get Social Security. I'm too young.
Yeah. Well, I'm on Social Security, and if I invest, I know that I'm allowed so much money. It changes every year. It's probably over $1,000 a month now. So if I make more than, I'm just going to use 1,000. I don't know if that's the exact number, but it was years ago 900. So I'm guaranteed it's over 1,000 now, and somebody will send in something and make a comment of what it is. But I guarantee you, if I make $1,000, I'm sorry, a month. I said a year. If I make $1,000 a month profit, Uber driving, working on a job, or anything else, it's non-taxable. So this is income. So I have to find out what that threshold is currently for 2025. And if I don't want to pay any taxes, then I don't want to be making any money. Hello, everybody. We're back now. We had our break, our cigarette break, our cold drink break, and I got some fresh coffee. We're going to continue on where we left off.
Okay, so when we were doing the cash secured puts, remember even though we went down even to where we had a 90% chance of not getting assigned the stock,
Right.
there still will be that 10%.
Yes.
And you will one day get assigned. You will have to buy the stock. So let's say last week, Goldfinger was at $11 a share. You did a $10 put. Well, on Friday, the stock closed at $9.67 a share, less than $10. So you had to buy it, and you had to pay $10 for it. Even though it dropped 33%, not that big a deal because you did get paid that premium. But again, remember, I never ever want to own a single share of stock.
Right.
Because even though it's at $9.67 now, next week it could drop to $8.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get out of it. I'm trying to get back to cash and do cash secured puts. So again, what I'm teaching guys is get out of it immediately. I used to be greedy. So say if I did get assigned at $10 and it's $9.67, well, I used to say, I'll do it for $11. I'll put it up for sale for $11, and that way, not only will I get paid a premium, but if it hits $11, I'll make an extra $1 per share.
Did I have to come up with $9,670?
Well, I own the stock.
Well, you had to cover it.
Right. So, well, let's just say this was 100 shares, so I had to put up 1,000.
You had to put up 1,000.
Or, well, 100 times $10 a share. So I had to put up 1,000.
But it went to $967.
Right. So now your portfolio is worth $967 instead of 1,000.
But you don't have to put out additional money.
No. Because,
Okay.
well, no, you bought it for 10.
You
You put up the 1,000. That was your collateral.
Isn't there a time limit that you have it?
Remember, you only did it for 1 week.
Okay.
So the person you made that cash secured put deal with put up the stock as collateral.
Uh-huh.
You put up $1,000.
Okay.
And what happened was it dropped to it. So the deal, you got assigned. It didn't expire harmlessly. You didn't get your 1,000 back.
You
now
now own
you
it,
bought
but
the
you own
stock.
it. You own it, but you don't have to put up.
You don't have to put up any more
100%
money. No, you've
You have to
already
put
done
up-
it.
You still the 10% you're into it for the original.
Yeah, you put up the
insurance
money
price.
last week.
Okay.
So there's no more out of pocket. You now
right.
own the stock.
Okay.
Okay, so it's at 967. You could get greedy and put up the covered call, which means you own the stock now. You are deciding what price you would be willing to sell this stock. And you are the person who sets that price. And I will tell you, there is no way you can lose money selling a covered call unless you sell the stock for less than you paid for it. Now, if you did a covered call for $9.50, it's going to pay you a hell of a premium, but that would be stupid because you paid $10 for it. So why do it for $9.50? You could lose money.
You'll lose money on when it finally somebody picks it up.
Right. So don't do that. What I recommend doing is immediately coming back at $9.67, putting it up for $10, the same exact price that you paid for it.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to pay you a good premium because you're right there. I mean, you're right at that. So the closer you are to the price that you're going to sell it, the higher the premium is going to be. So you're going to make 4.5% on your money for that week. $45, and you put up 1,000.
You still only do it for a week.
Well, in a perfect world. So you want to sell it.
But it may not happen in 1 week.
No.
So you may have to be sitting on it for a while.
Right.
Like you're doing right now.
Well, Sam mentioned earlier, he had one contract sell, but the other one ended up, 1 penny away?
Yeah, 2 cents or something.
So 2 cents away. So let's say he's at $9.98. He's going to put it up for $10. That's probably going to pay him $55 per contract, or 5.5% in that week. And think about that. You make 5.5% in 1 week. You're talking almost 300% annualized.
Yeah, 4 contracts.
So, but his goal was to put it up for what he paid for it to get out of it. Ended up a penny short. Now he's going to get paid a heck of a premium next week. Hopefully it'll go up 2 pennies, 1 penny, and then he gets out of it again, goes back to the cash secured puts. So that's what I'm saying is,
So he did get out of it, but he didn't lose anything.
no, well, no, one of them got called away
Yeah.
of his stocks. The other one didn't.
Okay.
So he's still holding all that. He said he had 4 contracts. So he still has 400 shares.
Okay.
So he'll do 4 covered call contracts on Monday for the price that he paid for it.
Okay.
And he's going to get paid a very good percentage. And in a perfect world, it'll go up 1, even 2 pennies. And
So here's a question. Why would someone buy it at 10 if it's sitting below 10? Somebody has
okay,
to pick up the contract. Somebody has to pick up the option.
you were dealing with the pessimist the first week.
Okay, now you're dealing with an
You're
optimist.
dealing with an optimist. So if you make this contract, if you decide to sell at 10, this guy is more than happy to pay you 45 cents a share or $45 per 100 share contract because he thinks it could go up to 11.
And there's lots of people like that.
Sure.
How many
So-
people are involved in options? I didn't think there was that many.
Oh, there's,
Millions?
oh yeah.
Okay, so there's all kinds of
Yeah.
thinking. So they're looking at other graphs, other Greeks, as you call it, and they're saying, oh, this thing's going to go up in 3 months. I better pick this up now.
Well, what they're thinking is that it's going to go from 967 up to 11.
Right.
So you got to think about that. If they're going to get it for 10, they're paying you 45.
Wow.
So add 45 to 10, that's $10.45 a share.
Right.
But they think they're going to get it for 11
So they're going to make
or 12.
55.
Yeah, so they're going to make $55 per contract off of you if
Okay.
they're right. So
So
for
there's always a buyer for a seller for a buyer. It seems to be like,
yeah.
always is.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's a wait time though.
Well, and it depends on what broker you use. Well, okay. On your broker, right before you hit submit on this, you're going to see a lot of them, they're set up as limit. And you will have 3 different prices. And it'll go, if it's limit, you can go in, say you don't like 45 cents. Say you want 50. You can manually put 50 cents a share in. And that's a limit. So now you have that whole day.
So you could ask for a higher premium.
Yes. And
Really?
you make it good for that day. And if nobody's willing to pay that 50 cents, that extra nickel per share, then that deal expires that day. No one picked up the contract.
Did it cost you anything?
No. Well, it cost you a day,
It cost you a day time, but it didn't cost you any money out of pocket.
correct. But you got to remember this, the market's 5 days in a week. When you lose one day, that's 20% of the week. So it makes it easier to predict. So where if you'd made that deal for 45 cents on Monday, you just lost 20% of the week. So on Tuesday, this might only pay 36. Because now it's more of a probable chance that you can predict the outcome.
Okay.
So, but
Do you do that, though? Just out of curiosity, do you ever do that?
no. So that's the limit. There's 2 different things. You'll see that's the limit where you can go in and put whatever price you want in, or you can select market. Market is whatever that's paying. So as soon as you hit submit, that's the price you're going to get paid.
Get paid.
Yes, you will get paid this. So
As long as it's picked up.
well, it will be.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be?
Yeah.
It really always will be?
Oh yeah. There's always
There's
somebody.
always
else.
somebody that's going to think the opposite of you.
I mean, you could have millions of shares, but I mean, like I've got over 34,000 shares and, 17,001 and all that. So that's 170 contracts, 17,000 shares.
But you've been doing
and
it for a
and
while.
as soon as I hit submit, boop, I get this money immediately. The deal is done. Now all we're doing is waiting on Friday to see if it's going to hit that price or not.
Kev, I have to ask again. How many years have you been doing this?
Well, I started getting into stocks right when COVID happened. A little bit before COVID,
That's 2021.
2020.
Oh, 2020.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, 2020.
2020 then. Oh, yeah. March of 2020 is when
And-
what hit the fan.
I'm all self-taught. I got into it buying stocks. I mentioned on the first video, I got into this little Wall Street bets thing that was going on where these young guys were just destroying hedge funds
Right.
who were shorting companies. We're not going to get into that, though. Don't even want to bring that up. But anyway, I looked at day trading. Too risky, too much time and everything. Went to swing trading.
That's what I did.
It's
Swing
like
trading.
that, and again, we won't go into what it is.
That's totally different.
But I owned a lot of stock, and then that's when I found out that I could do covered calls on the stock that I owned and make supplemental income.
And you could do puts, secured puts. So,
Well, I owned the stock,
yeah.
so and so from the covered calls, then I actually learned the wheel strategy
Okay.
and found out that it's much better to be on this side than this side.
Gotcha.
So, but anyway, so this is what I'm preaching, guys. So if you got assigned at $10 a share, it's down to $9.67. Don't get greedy. On Monday, put it up for sale for exactly what you paid for it. Take this nice premium for the week. Hopefully it'll go up 34 cents.
Do you set the price before the market opens?
Well, you
You can do it over the weekend, right?
no.
You cannot set a price over the weekend. You have to wait for the market to open.
You can put your trade in, but it's not going to happen.
Okay,
It's not going to be
you can
executed.
put the trade in, but when the market opens, that's when it's posted.
It's, yeah. So, like I said, yeah, you can put it in there. Now, I think interactive brokers might let you do some stuff pre-market, a couple hours before the market opens, but don't hold me to that, guys.
And you don't wait to see where it's going,
Well,
even on a Monday?
on Monday, like I mentioned, for me, in my experience, it seems like Monday morning when the market opens, which would be Monday night here, the market's the most optimistic it is. 75, 60, at least 60% of the country, at least half, all Mountain Time and Pacific Time people are still sleeping.
Right.
So really only the East Coast is up and at 'em and
awake
alert.
and- yeah.
So that's when it seems like the market is the most optimistic.
So on a covered call, the best time to do it.
For me, I do it immediately because I want it to go up. I want to lose this stock. So,
Yeah, you don't want to own it.
right.
You want to lose it. Get your 45 cents.
Yes.
Get out, and then do it all over again.
Go back to cash secured puts and make my little
When would
1.44.
you sell your cash secured put? I'm not going to use the
Well, the next week, because hopefully this week,
not the same week that you sold it in.
no. Now I can if I have cash. If I've got extra cash, I can.
Would you watch the market, see where it's going?
Well, I mean, I do both.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm sitting on 34,000 shares of stock, but I've also got cash. So I'm doing cash secured puts with my
Here in
cash.
the Philippines, what is the times that the markets are open?
Right now with the time change, so in the spring it opens at 9:30 p.m.
Okay,
But
so
in the
it's
fall
nighttime.
it'll go to 10:30
Our
p.m.
night, their morning.
Correct.
Okay.
We're 12 hours ahead of East Coast time right now,
Okay.
and it'll go to 13 hours in the fall.
Oh yeah, that's right. They have a time change. We don't. We don't have a time change zone here, do we? No, we don't have. We don't go forward or back. They do in the
I
States.
think the U.S. is the only country,
The only country that does that.
that does
Which,
that.
yeah, Trump says he wanted to do away with it, which is a good idea. But in any case, that's another story.
Well,
Got to
they,
keep track of that.
they designed it for farmers, and farmers don't use a clock.
No, right.
When the sun comes up or a rooster crows.
They're up before the sun
Right.
anyway,
So,
regardless.
yeah, so it was stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, so again, all right, you're sitting on, we'll say 100 shares. You got assigned at $10 a share. It dropped to 967. Don't get greedy. Don't go to 1050. And see, the higher you go,
the less
the less your premium is going to be because,
higher you're asking anyway.
right. So because you got probably a 95% chance this is going to get called away at $10.
And you
But
make
if you
45.
get up to, and you're making 45, you're making 4.5% on your money in a week. Beautiful. But if you come up here, increasing it another 10%,
It may not be picked up, and even if it does, you're gonna make less than half.
well, you're going to make less than half, but then you'll still keep your stock. If it doesn't reach 11, you still keep your stock. Remember, I don't want to ever own
And
stock.
that's just sitting around doing nothing.
Well, I mean, and now
Basically.
it can still go up in value. Say it goes up, say I did an $11 call,
Okay.
and say it goes to 10.50. Okay, so I actually made money on that, and since I had 11, it never reached 11, so I still keep the stock. And so the next week, I would do it. You know what? You could do 10.50 at what it is, but like I said, I'm happy to get out of it.
The next week the percentages will change though.
Yes. So this will all
So
go
the
up.
insurance-
Yeah. Instead of 10, it'll all go up this way.
And the money that they pay
Right.
you on the insurance policy is going to change as well.
So that next week, if it's at 10.50 on Friday, 10.50 is going to be
It'll be
paying
the
the
45
45.
cents, right.
Yeah. So it's going to go up the ladder that way. But in a perfect world, just get out of it.
Can I
All right,
ask?
so
I like
go ahead and
this.
stand up and stay towards the board.
Yeah, I just
know
like to ask
people
you a
will want
question.
and
So-
watch me. Okay, you got.
Okay.
I need to pick you up on the bike, Sam.
All right.
All right.
If I'm a little closer to the mic, I think it's better too.
You're good.
All right. I have a question. So it was at 10, the covered call, and let's say you put it at 10 and it's sold, you made your $45, etc. But you said if you put it at 11 and it goes up to 10.50, would you then try to sell it at 11 again, or 10.50 or 10?
That's up to you. Again, I want to get out of it.
Okay.
So I would actually do it for 10 again. And where 10.50 is going to be 45 next week,
But if it goes up to
10.
10.50, you can sell it at 10.50,
you
right?
could. Or you could still go back to what you paid for it. And this premium next
Oh,
week,
that premium.
this
will be
might be 80.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your
yes.
premium will be higher because
okay.
you're selling it below the value.
Correct.
Of the
So you
stock.
want to sell it at 10.
So you're
So
going to
you
make
still make-
8% on your
and you're
money
right.
next week.
And
And you're almost guaranteed to
Get rid
lose
of it.
Yes.
and you
Got it.
got more than 45 cents.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you made 8% on your money that week. That's over 400%.
Now, a lot of
annualized.
people have never looked at a
See,
brokerage
because
account.
that's what I'm thinking. If you're buying it at 10 and it goes to 10.50, well then you can sell it at 10.50. But then if you come down a little bit, you just make it,
You're making more money. Maybe not the full 50 cents.
and
but
you guaranteed to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not guaranteed, but
Well,
it could drop back down from 10.50 to 9.99.
correct, right?
So
You have a better chance of getting rid of
Right.
it, and you're getting more money
and you're
because
getting 8% on your money in
Yeah.
1 week.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want that?
Right.
Some people make 10%. I looked, the average annual return over the last 30 years is 10%.
Now, I'm going to want to do a follow-up because this is a lot of information. I know my viewers are going to want to watch this more than once, okay? There's a lot of information here. Is it possible one time that we focus in on somebody's laptop, yours? We don't need to look at your stocks, just on a blank brokerage, and explain what they touch and what they do in order to find the
Sure.
cash secured puts or the covered calls and what a brokerage looks like on a laptop. I will say this, I'm pretty sure you need to have a laptop to do all this. Isn't that correct?
No, everybody has an app as well.
So on the phones they have an app as well, but
Mm-hmm.
isn't it condensed, kind of hard to see?
I don't have any problem with it.
Well-
I'm blind.
Yeah. Well, I would think you would want a laptop, but that's okay. Maybe if I can get a brokerage account, I can show them on mine. I can take a picture
yeah.
of mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to try and get a brokerage account so the next time we do a video, without having to use your laptop, we can use mine, and I'll have one on us and one on the laptop, and we don't need a board or anything like that, so that people can see, and I'll do an actual trade. I think that would be interesting.
And like I said, you guys just saw 90% of what I teach you in person.
Okay.
The last 10% is me showing you how to do the trade on your site.
Okay, so that's what I need to do. Is I'm going to
Yes.
do that either, because I don't have an account, but I need to get a brokerage account, obviously, in order to do a trade.
Right.
That might take a little bit of time, but hopefully I can get it done quickly. Or I got to need to find someone that's willing to show their laptop. I don't know,
And
Sam, if you're willing to or not, but I need to show a trade.
You
You can hide your. Is there a way to hide? Can he hide his trades?
well, I mean, he can do a fake trade on there. He can walk through everything and
Yeah.
just not hit submit.
Right.
A
Or
fake
if you
trade.
guys could do it on Monday night and he could do the actual trade right there. But I mean, he can do a fake trade it'll show this whole graphic, it'll show the delta.
Yeah,
It'll
that's what we need to
it'll
see.
show everything.
All right, great. Anything else, Sam? Anything to add to it?
I would just like to say, first of all, I want to thank Kevin for introducing this to me.
And I want to thank both of you.
I tell you because, and I talked to Kevin about this. It's as close to you can get as a license to print money, because, like Kevin said, you cannot lose money unless you sell the stock for less than what you paid for.
That's the covered call.
That's
the
for the
covered
covered call. And the puts.
And the thing is, I've never heard of an insurance company losing money, going broke. We pay for health insurance, we pay for car insurance, and we know it's just an expense that we never really get back.
Yeah, and I
insurance
never
companies
knew.
make money.
I never knew about the premiums.
I didn't.
And
either.
that's all I'm
I
I'm
never knew
just
about this
hunting
either.
for premiums. Hunting for premiums. That's
Yeah,
it.
I spent literally a lot of money for classes on this, and they didn't talk about any of this wheel strategy. None of it.
And how much did you spend to learn this?
I spent a lot of money.
Nothing. Kevin taught me for free.
Yeah, Kevin taught him
And
for
I'd
free.
be willing to. I am so happy to teach anyone, and I try to introduce it to other people. But and Kevin runs across this too. Was when you talk to people about this, they just, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to lose my money. It's too risky. Hey, look, I've been saving my money for the past 40 years. I don't want to lose my money either. So I
Right.
went into it very cautiously.
But you're getting what kind of interest are you
I'm
getting?
getting 54% on my money.
No,
And
but I mean before you went into this.
before I went into what was it?
Money in a savings account.
Oh, I have investments. I have
CDs, things like that.
portfolios.
But
I
paying
have
less
I
than
have
5%
I have
typically.
I have. Are you my entire portfolio?
You've got real estate. You've got everything.
Right, my stock portfolio. I think I'm up 14%
In
lifetime.
Lifetime.
Right, I'm about 54
years
percent.
we're talking
Granted,
years.
it's not $1 million or anything, but it's just going up. It's just going up, and
Okay.
there's no way to go but up.
But
And
this is
it's-
a lot faster.
and it's also interesting. It's also interesting
Gives you
for me.
something
It's
to
also
do.
a hobby. Kevin does it a little bit more scheduled than I do, whereas he's up late at night. He's up because he's got a lot more. Me, I do it twice a week.
Okay.
I do it Sunday night, place my trade. Friday, I check it. Do it again on Sunday.
You don't check it in between?
Once in a while, but I don't need to. They
Okay.
send you updates. I get these little
So the update on your phone.
yeah.
Where it's at. What's
Yeah,
doing.
or this stock is up this much, or this stock is down this much. So
Very good. All right, guys, you got it. Now, if you have questions on this video, you can put it in the comments, okay?
And I'll go in and answer.
Yeah,
As I
Kevin's willing to answer. We just put it on the comments, and Kevin will answer your comments because he can go on it and read them and respond. Sam can too, okay? You can respond. Just have to go to the channel, Goldfinger the Gold Minute. Goldfinger the... Oh my God, the Goldfinger Minute.
Minute.
I'm sorry. I used to have another channel called Goldfinger Refining, and it's Goldfinger. But this is the 1 minute Goldfinger.
But just
okay?
keep in mind, this is
Goldfinger,
what I,
Goldfinger 1 minute.
The
The
Goldfinger Minute. Oh my God.
No one's going to be able to find your
I
channel.
know Goldfinger Minute. Well, I'll find it.
Put Goldfinger Philippines in,
Yeah.
and that will come up. That's
you'll,
how I
you'll
found
see
it.
me.
That's
If
how
I
found
can add just one thing is that I spent my whole life saving for retirement because I wanted to get involved very early and the last thing I want to do is risk it.
Right.
The last thing I want to do is lose everything I've spent my entire life saving, and I don't want to lose it. So I went in this very cautiously.
Well, of course,
and I realized,
$1,000 for
yeah.
most of us who's either retired or have $1,000 is not a lot of money for an American citizen. I don't know about and Canadian and most
Right.
first world countries. 1,000 is not a lot. And you
Likewise,
practice.
exactly. Likewise, I'm not an expert. I didn't know anything, and I never had an investment specialist guide me in anything. I was doing everything myself. This to me was the easiest way to do it.
Now I know
And,
Kevin's busy, and you said you're leaving pretty soon
I'm leaving Dumageddon on June 2nd.
to out of country or local?
Yeah, going back to the States.
Going back. So if I need any help, Sam, maybe you could help me.
I can try.
Okay. Well, you know more than me on this, guys. I
You
want to
still
appreciate
message
it.
me there.
Yeah, I can still message you. Okay,
Please, message it first. I'm taking attention.
Take it from the teacher. Guys, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All of you have helped a lot of people. This is a really great way for retired people to come over here. Keep busy. Keep their mind, sharp. Okay, because you have to think numbers. You have to know what you're doing, and make a little extra income, which a lot of people are so solely on Social Security and have a limited amount of funds.
And
this
have
is
grandkids and have other family members
Yeah.
that they, yeah.
So this is a wonderful idea for foreigners.
How much was the first stock that we started you with per share? Do you remember what your first contract was?
Yeah,
was it
it was like
450 or?
450, $500, something like that.
So he only had to put up $450 for his first cash secured put.
Right.
And when I did the cash secure put, you mean to tell me I got to buy this stock? If it doesn't, I didn't want to buy anymore. But I didn't have to buy. And
didn't have to
then
buy,
I got
which
the
is
premium,
funny.
and I said, now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah, because it's confusing to me a little bit still because I'm so used to having to purchase the stock at a certain point, but you don't have to. You just hold on to the option.
Put it this way: if I can learn it, anyone can learn it.
All right. That sounds good, guys. Thank you very much, everybody. That's our first lesson. We may have another one in a month or so when you get back.
Yep.
And then I'm going to try and work on getting a brokerage account. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
And we all got dreams, we all want things. But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move